Today is Friday, May 29th, 2026. And right now, as you read this, Vladimir Putin's absolute worst geopolitical nightmare is unfolding in real time. The Kremlin's strategic masterstroke, the prized southern Landbridge linking mainland Russia to occupied Crimea, has effectively ceased to function as a reliable military artery. 1.5 million Russian citizens and an entire army corps are waking up trapped on an isolated peninsula that is fast becoming a massive, indefensible logistics trap. For 12 long years, Moscow held an iron grip on Crimea, transforming it into an unsinkable aircraft carrier. But over the last few weeks, the Ukrainian Armed Forces have flipped the script entirely. They didn't do it by launching a bloody, high-casualty traditional ground invasion over the narrow Perekop Isthmus. Instead, they are pulling off a masterclass in modern, deep strike attrition. They are starving the beast by systematically severing every single thread of Russia's heavy logistical lifeline. Let's lay out exactly how Ukraine pulled this off over the last 72 hours, because the data coming out of the theater right now is nothing short of staggering. The death of the three major arteries. To understand how 1.5 million people and a massive occupying army get cut off, you have to look at how Russia moves its weight. Military logistics is a game of bulk math. You cannot feed an army or run tanks on standard civilian delivery vans. You need heavy rail and endless convoys of fuel tankers. Historically, Russia relied on three specific arteries to keep Crimea alive. Today, all three have been neutralized or completely choked out. Tutpo 1. The Kerch Strait Bridge, a monument on red alert. The massive, multi-billion-dollar Kerch Strait Bridge was meant to be the eternal physical symbol of Putin's annexation. Instead, it has become a giant, concrete liability. Following devastating, successive Ukrainian strikes spanning from October 2022 through the massive hits in June 2025, the struck to, Russian commanders are flatly terrified to run heavy, vibrating ammunition trains across it. It exists now in a permanent state of red alert. Just days ago, yet another security scare forced an abrupt 11-hour emergency shutdown, completely paralyzing what little traffic remained. The bridge is no longer an asset. It is a ghost route that requires massive, dwindling air defense assets just to keep from falling into the sea. Dagger 2. The railway ferries. Sunk and silenced. When the Kerch Bridge became too dangerous for military cargo, the Kremlin pivoted heavily to a maritime backup plan. Massive railway ferries shuttling directly across the strait to transport fuel trains and heavy armor. That backup plan is officially dead. Ukraine's intelligence and precision missile units tracked down and disabled Russia's final operational heavy rail ferry, the Slavyanin. Concurrently, a brutal strike targeted the mainland port of Kavkaz, blowing apart the specialized loading infrastructure. Without the M14 Mariupol highway, the highway to hell with the bridge compromised and the ferries at the bottom of the harbor, Russia was forced to rely entirely on its final option, the M14 highway. This is the Landbridge proper, a sprawling road network winding out of Rostov-on-Don, cutting through occupied Mariupol and Melitopol, and running straight down into northern Crimea via the Jankoy checkpoint. For years, this route was considered safe because it sat deep in the strategic rear, far beyond the reach of conventional Ukrainian tactical drones. But 2026 has introduced a terrifying paradigm shift in drone warfare. Ukraine has blanketed the occupied southern corridor with three distinct concentric layers of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. The inner ring, standard first-person view, FPV, kamikaze drones operating up to 20 kilometers from the active zero line. The middle ring, advanced AI-assisted Hornet and B-2 drones pushing hunting packs between 100 to 150 kilometers. The M14 sits directly in the crosshairs of these middle and outer rings, armed with Starlink satellite arrays for flawless long-range signal preservation and AI-driven targeting algorithms that bypass local Russian electronic warfare, EW jamming. These drone swarms hunt in packs. The results are catastrophic for Russian logistics. Open-source monitoring groups like Okogora have documented dozens upon dozens of incinerated Russian military cargo trucks, flatbeds, and fuel tankers littering the asphalt of the M14 over a 3-week span. The carnage has grown so severe that on May 22nd, the Kremlin-installed governor of occupied Kherson, Vladimir Saldo, signed an official emergency decree completely closing the M14 highway to all civilian traffic. From the front lines, Russian ultra-nationalist military bloggers are panicking openly on Telegram. The famous channel Rybar issued a grim warning to Russian troops stating explicitly, "There is no rear anymore." Driving down these, the strangulation of Crimea's infrastructure. When you cut a military garrison off from its supply lines, the effects do not manifest on the front lines first. They manifest in the infrastructure behind them. The logistical chokehold is actively causing a systemic collapse across both the civilian and military ecosystems inside the peninsula. Nodshas, the fuel crisis and capped rations, the direct consequence of losing the M14 highway and the rail ferries is an immediate paralyzing fuel deficit. On Friday, May 22nd, the occupation authorities in Crimea's largest city, Sevastopol, officially cracked. Governor Mikhail Razvozhayev announced the immediate implementation of emergency gasoline and diesel rationing. Civilian motorists at the dominant TES gas station chain are now strictly capped at purchasing a maximum of P20 liters, 5.2 gallons, of fuel per vehicle. Premium gasoline has vanished entirely from multiple hubs, and diesel fuel has been withdrawn from public sale, reserved strictly for dismantling the air defense bubble. While the logistics lines are being choked, Ukraine is simultaneously stripping away Crimea's armor. Over the past week, a coordinated campaign of Western-supplied Storm Shadow cruise missiles and indigenous Ukrainian long-range strike systems has relentlessly targeted Russia's high-end radar arrays and surface-to-air missile batteries. Multiple S-300 and S-400 Triumph installations have been systematically liquidated. Because Russia cannot easily truck replacement radar components or massive reload missiles down the burning M14 highway, they are physically incapable of replacing these losses. This has created massive, permanent blind spots in Crimea's air defense bubble, leaving high-value assets inside the peninsula completely exposed. The Black Sea Fleet's total retreat. If you need any more proof of how completely the tide has turned, look at the waves. The Ukrainian Navy has formally confirmed that the presence of operational Russian warship, relentless, low-profile Ukrainian sea drones and anti-ship missile strikes have forced the remnants of the legendary Russian Black Sea Fleet to completely abandon their historic home port of Sevastopol. They have fled east to Novorossiysk, and even that port's capacity has been hobbled. Russian warships can no longer project power, they cannot escort supply vessels, and they cannot protect the peninsula's vulnerable coastlines. Belbek Airfield, an open-air target with naval support gone and the air defense umbrella riddled with holes, major Russian military installations inside Crimea have become what aviation experts call easy prey. Just last night, a massive barrage hit the headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet Aviation Division right on Gogol Street in Sevastopol, alongside explosive strikes near the strategic Kacha and Belbek airfields. Without a steady supply of anti-air missiles and fuel, these heavily fortified air bases are transforming into open-air parking lots. Ukraine's high command is executing this campaign with brilliant strategic restraint. They know that a massive frontal amphibious or airborne assault to physically retake Crimea right now would be an incredibly bloody affair that would drain vital Ukrainian resources. They don't need to do that. Instead, they are playing a game of pure mathematical attrition. By maintaining a relentless, high-intensity drone and missile campaign on the M14 highway and the remaining transit hubs, Ukraine is transforming Crimea into a logistical black hole. Every single day, the Russian garrison inside consumes food, ammunition, and fuel that cannot be replaced at the rate it is being burned. Eventually, the holding capacity of the military will hit absolute zero. This presents Vladimir Putin with a devastating political and military dilemma. Crimea was meant to be the crown jewel of his legacy, the historic unification that cemented his place in Russian history. To lose it or to be forced to evacuate